And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Well, hello, Joe. How are you? Hey, guys.
Well, hello, Spencer. I'm fine. How are you?
I can't complain. I probably could. Actually, I can, but there's really no point at this juncture in my life.
I was getting on the elevator about 10 minutes ago to run down to my truck, and a woman said the same thing. How you doing? I said, I can't complain. And she looks at me, and I look back at her and said, actually, I'm lying. I can't complain. Far too busy. You know, just too much to do. You don't need to hear all this. She starts laughing. But yeah, aside from that, can't complain.
You still got it, Joe. 888-659-3727 is toll-free number. Guys, give us a call here at The Bald Truth. This is the Hair Loss Show. Been doing the broadcast for about 24 years, and I say that for a reason. Not just to tell you guys that this is the OG Hair Loss Show, the original, the first, the one and only. But really, we emphasize that because it underscores how long Joe and I have been in this fucked up industry. It underscores the reality that we know where all the bodies are buried. And frankly, we were a pretty significant part in the evolution of the industry many years ago, and we've been the witness of the devolution, if that's the way you pronounce it, of this ridiculous industry over the last 8 or 9 years. I've seen it hit its apex and then fall right down the fucking hill.
And boy, did it fall fast. It's fallen faster down on the other side than it took to get to that apex originally. Like far faster going down than it did to go up.
Well, it was a struggle to bring it to where it was, I would say, in 2008, 2009. It was already starting to tip over the edge when the turnkey devices came on the market and the physicians who had the power and the wherewithal, well, not the wherewithal, but the power and the community, if they really wanted to come together as a community, to create an environment where consumers would at the very least have a fighting chance to avoid what's going on today. And for the bad guys, the bad actors in this field to think to themselves, you know what, it's probably not going to work if we go in this direction. Let's at least attempt to do things correctly. But no, everyone was apathetic. That's what this field is all about. The main organization, the main society of this field, they didn't want to do shit. They didn't want to, call their 1,200 members at the time or whatever together and say, you know what, this is really fucked up. We have an opportunity here. Let's work together to educate the consumer and make sure that they don't fall into the clutches of these bad actors. But the conversation...
Every one of those individual doctors, this is outrageous. Someone should do something about it. Just don't tell them I said anything.
Just don't tell them that I said anything. That's exactly it, Joe Tillman. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had. I know you have had similar conversations with the guys. Basically, well, let's forget about what's happening in the industry as far as the turnkey stuff. I'm talking about when they complain about their colleagues, when they see patients walking through their door who they believe their colleagues fucked up. They call me up, they complain, they scream bloody murder, and then they're like, but don't tell them I said anything. And I'm like, how is this physician going to get the information he needs to no longer damage patients who walk through his door if you don't have the courage to give the guy a call and say, you know what, I saw this case, it wasn't great, and I can tell you my thoughts on the case, and maybe if you're interested, you can either come to my office or, take these steps to kind of better what's coming out of your practice. Mm-hmm. I have a guy here in Los Angeles. He has contacted me at least 4 times about another doctor in Los Angeles. Obviously, I don't name names. And I'm like, well, the complaints have to come through us or through the American Hair Loss Association. And more importantly, I think that the physician needs to know what's going on and what these patients are, why they're coming to you for repair and what you're seeing. And the guy's like, you know what? I don't really want to get involved with that.
I just want to bitch about it.
Yeah. And and you should do something, Spencer. Well, how can I do anything if I can't speak to the patient because the patient doesn't want to contact us? He's your patient. You don't want to contact the doctor or initiate or facilitate a meeting or a phone call between me and this patient. What am I supposed to do? How can I do anything? I don't know what's going on. How do I know you just don't give a shit that you're just not concerned about your competition, Doc?
The cobweb of issues that brings up where you or I supposedly going to one of the doctors we work with and saying, hey, you need to back off on what you're doing because this other doctor says you're doing something bad without any shred of evidence, without any documentation from the patient, nothing but hearsay from a competitor. How's that going to look?
Well, forget
ridiculous.
About how it's going to look. It's going to be like, all right, who's the patient? I don't know.
Yeah.
Can I speak to this guy? No,
there's that little detail.
I never saw him. I saw a picture. How do you know this picture of my patient? I don't know.
They said so?
Because they said so. Why would this guy lie to me? Well, here's the list of why he may lie to you or why I should look at everything with a jaundiced eye.
Yeah.
And then when you go to if you do get the information, you go to certain physicians in this field and you're like, hey, you know what? This isn't looking good. There's ways to help this patient out. And then they're like, I don't know if I like a patient coming to you, to your organization first before they come to me. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. And I'm like, listen, dude, I'm just helping you keep yourself out of fucking Yelp. And I'm helping this patient somehow get some sort of adjudicate a situation that he feels that his hands are tied with.
Yeah.
So in the end, just go fuck everybody. Go fuck yourself. That's how I feel about it. Dogs. I want to help. You have the opportunity to help change this field, and we would like to facilitate that and make that happen. We are going to do that this year with or without your help. Mm-hmm. And we figured out a way how to make that happen.
Ooh, it's good. It's good.
So you're either with us, you're with the patient, or you're against the patient. Bottom line. However, you're going to have to be open to the idea that you are going to have to, in a sense, choose sides. And the side is for the consumer. Probably not for some of the, the organization, the politicians in the organizations. Just putting it out there. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. We are here to provide you with a safe place to get anything and everything, all information about hair loss and the industry that you are depending on. We don't sell anything. We never have, and we never will. When I was on the radio many years ago, of course, we had advertisers. It's a radio, they're radio stations. But I really picked and chose my advertisers in a way that radio didn't really love, but we made it work, and we were able to help a lot of people. This program, we decided not to have any advertisers, not to take any money, which is probably stupid, because if we did, we'd probably be out there a little bit more.
Speaking of which, I'd like to use that as a segue into the latest development here on the Hair Transplant channel. For today's broadcast, I've started an experiment where the only people that can comment in the chat room are subscribers to the channel, and I enabled that right before we went live.
I like that.
And I gotta tell you, I'm kind of surprised to see the lack of activity. By this time, we're about 10 minutes into the broadcast, and we usually have a lot more conversation going on in the chat room, and it's usually from a lot of the regulars
who are not there right now. That is fucking wild.
I don't see you. And I'm disappointed because this is a labor of love for Spencer and I. We love doing the show, And we do it for free for you. We don't do it for the doctors because it's not for them. They tune in sometimes and they like to listen to what you guys are saying. But we're here for you to help you steer through the madness that is, it's still incredulous to even hear myself say this, the madness that is the hair restoration surgery industry.
And the whole hair loss industry in general, but most of you guys are tuning in because you're concerned about a lot of you guys because you want surgery.
Or you're considering surgery, or you're wondering about medications, and the occasional questions about stem cell therapies or cloning and things like that. And we do this for nothing. We could do a Patreon where we charge you $5 an episode, or $1 an episode, or whatever to be a part of that, or we could take money from sponsors that would help us to get more exposure, but we don't. This is absolutely free, and I think that the least you can do to be able to participate and watch this show in an engaging fashion, to where you can ask questions in the chat room, or you can banter back and forth with your buddies, because some of you made you're regulars and you talk to each other through the chat room, and I love seeing that. But if you can't bother to subscribe to the channel, just give that much back. I mean, that's disappointing, and I'd like to see more of it. Like, we got some more activity now, but I still don't see a lot of the regulars, so it's disappointing. But for those of you that are chatting in the chat room, thank you for being a subscriber. I know you're a subscriber because you can only chat now if you're a subscriber. So thank you to all of you. Really appreciate your support, and hit that like button while you're at it.
I'm reading what this one guy says. The walrus was Jason. I think hair loss info is getting more readily available, so guys are more educated. I come here for the support, mainly not info. The truth is, the majority of the information out there is complete bullshit. That's just the sad fact. You may be able to get information about gray market products, and you may get information about a lot of the the typical stuff about finasteride and minoxidil. But the reality is no one can provide you with the truth about this industry, or no one has really been willing to do that. It doesn't exist out there because they can't make money doing that. So if you want inside information, if you want the reality of what goes on in this industry, then this is where you come. But part of me is like, why don't we just fucking stick to talking about the same bullshit? Start getting some gray market shit, bring on some young dude, some what are they called? Bro science dude. It'll crush.
Asking about for an individual name of someone?
No.
I don't know their names.
No, I don't want to know their names. I'm just saying, we can bring them on board. We can kind of restructure the program, and we can sell. I could sell advertising. I could work with companies who've come to us. I could work with other podcasters who kind of want to be involved, but they also want to make money. And we can just make it explode like it did 20 years ago.
Yeah, no.
Let's take a phone call.
No.
Anyway, guys, 888-659-3727. Here's the thing. I love doing the program. I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I'm able to, or until it's no longer fun. And hopefully the guys that do find us and tune in will be provided with the tools they need to make informed decisions. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hi, Dan Cooper, Daytona Beach. Am I getting through clearly?
Dan Cooper from Daytona Beach. You came through absolutely crystal clear. What can I do for you?
Hello, Dan.
Thank you. Hi. Is that Joe?
It is Joe.
Yeah, sure is.
Okay, good. Hey, all right. First of all, I just want to say I appreciate what you guys do. You make a sensitive subject common conversation, so thanks for that.
Sure, you got it, man.
Our pleasure.
All right. I got a question, general question. How many FUTs can a person go through in one lifetime?
Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry. Well, I've had 10, or actually 8.
8?
It depends on how, but it depends on how big the surgeries are. Like I know of patients in the past that have had 15 to 18, even 20 surgeries, but they're really small. They're strip surgeries, but they're a few hundred grafts here and there because that's the way it was done back in the day to quote unquote stay ahead of your hair loss.
Okay. How do the scars, though? Do they look like track marks or something when you get that many?
Well, it depends. Again, some places would take the strip from a different place most of the time. Like, it depends on how many you get, but they would consolidate the previous scar into the new excision of tissue. So usually you're still left with one scar. But a lot of clinics back in the day, like 20 some odd years ago on back, they would take small strips from all over the scalp, and you would have a bunch of small, 2, 3, 4 inch long strip scars in multiple places all over the donor region. Most doctors didn't do that, though. That was rare, but mostly they would just go back into the same area and just keep excising the same scar over and over.
Gotcha. I've had 2 strip surgeries, 11 years apart, and they with the second procedure they cut the old scar out and just left one in. I was pretty satisfied with that.
Where'd you go?
Good.
I went to in Melbourne, Florida. There's an office called Imami. I went to him.
Okay. And you're happy with the results. That's great.
His name's Dr. Imami.
Okay. It's funny. There are some doctors out there that I've never heard of that are obviously doing good work. I don't know if you heard of this guy, Joe.
No.
So go
ahead.
I found him in the list of recommended surgeons, and he was the closest, so that's why I went to him. The work itself, it was just like the first one. The only thing I didn't like about it is that his technicians did the work. I kind of thought he would do it.
Well, what portion of the work did the technicians do?
Yeah, exactly.
They did the actual they did the extractions and the transplanting, and he I didn't say, well, I can't say he didn't do everything.
Didn't you just say you had 2 strips?
Yeah.
So how
11 years apart.
So how they do the extractions?
No, sorry, I didn't mean to say extract. They cut the strip off, and then they went from there. The doctor did.
The technician.
And then the technicians went from there.
So that is the way strip surgery is performed. It's a team effort, and the doctor will remove the strip, the peninsula of hair from the back of the scalp, and suture or staple that area together, and hand off that strip of tissue to the technicians, and they dissect it under a microscope into follicular units, and usually the physician will then place the recipient sites or make the recipient sites, and technicians will place the grafts. Is that what happened?
Yes.
Okay, so that's very typical.
All right, cool. I was, it's hard to tell whether it was a good job or not, whether 50% came in, almost all of it. I don't know, because it was. I have it's hard to describe my hair. I don't know what Norwood level I am, but I can. If you've ever seen Silence of the Lambs, I have like the same hair as Buffalo Bill.
Okay. That could be a good look on some guys.
Yeah.
Not on him.
Just to give you a brief history myself. Started losing it around 15, pretty young.
Oh Jesus!
How old are you now?
And 33.
Okay.
Were you put on finasteride?
No, never did any of that. See, my issue with finasteride and minoxidil is that whether you like it or not, my personal belief, MPB, baldness, whatever you want to call it, it's a natural occurrence in nature. So it was meant to happen. So when you go those routes, you're medicalizing the issue, and I'd rather not go that way.
So you'd rather surgicalize it?
Correct. It's cosmetic. I'd rather go the cosmetic way. It's I don't know. It's just a mental blockade I have.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but
yeah.
I'm sure that I'm hoping at least that any physician that worked on you told you that, listen, hair loss is a progressive disease. You started at 15 years old. There's a very strong chance that you're going to progress significantly as you get older, and the use of finasteride actually will keep the donor hair that was moved from miniaturizing, which there's probably a greater chance of that starting to lose its robust growth ability, or some of the grafts will probably miniaturize that were moved, because usually a kid who starts losing hair at 15 has significant hair loss, even in the donor area.
Right.
So if you want to maintain the hair that was moved, you should talk to your doctor about at some point potentially getting on medication.
I hear that. All right. Also, I read your book, the Bald Truth book.
Okay.
And I like the section where they talk about the nutritional supplementations, and I bought all of the vitamins that are recommended in the book. And
that was a long time ago. That book was written over 24 years ago, man. So when did you read it?
I read it earlier this year. I bought it on Amazon, I believe.
Holy shit! Still in fucking print. Wow. I mean, listen, I get the royalties, so I know, but it just amazes me. That now, just so you know, that was really a hair loss 101. Back in 1998, that was cutting edge. Now it's shit that you can find on the internet, except it does provide some insight about my story and my personal journey. And yeah, I was a major believer in the nutritional supplementation back in the day. The problem is there were a lot of companies that picked up on what I wrote about. The standardized extract of saw palmetto, pygium africanum, stinging nettle, and the right proportions to utilize. And these companies came out and made all types of major hair loss claims, which I avoided in the book. I basically said, this is what's been proven to lower DHT. We're not exactly sure, at least at the time, if there's a strong connection. It was all anecdotal when it came to hair loss. But yeah, I do know people who continue to use those products today, and they believe that they're getting some results. Now, just so you know, the fact that you're using something that's lowering your DHT, whether it's from Nature's Pharmacy or from a pharmaceutical company, you're still changing the natural process using a drug. It's just this is just a nutritional supplement or an herb, which is a drug.
Yep.
Well, how do you feel to this day? How do you feel about vitamins like FOT and saw palmetto?
I believe that there's absolute evidence that saw palmetto, taking the right standardized extract, will lower your DHT. With that said, I also believe it can cause adverse side effects, just like Propecia in some men.
I know far too many patients that would take the natural route by taking saw palmetto, and they would take varying degrees of dosages, and numerous patients would report back to me that they're having side effects, which shows that it's not so much the composition of the medication that causes side effects; it's the inhibition of DHT itself that causes side effects.
But it also proves that saw palmetto does lower DHT. The problem is you never know where you're getting it. So where is the product being manufactured? Is it manufactured in the United States? Is it really standardized? Because the FDA doesn't what's the word, Joe? Doesn't regulate nutritional supplements. So, you know, we're working on some things this year where we're going to make it easier for patients, even in that realm, to kind of see, you know, what's a real standardized product and what's not. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you're taking saw palmetto and pygium africanum and trying to lower your DHT. And I'm not saying you should get on the drug, because you're already on essentially a drug. And if it's working for you, that's great without any adverse side effects. But your entire initial line of thinking is kind of thrown out the window now that you told me you're taking this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the distance there is between, you know, the overall difference between nutritional supplementation and high grade pharmaceuticals. It's just I'm leaving it. You know, I hear you guys say that surgery is the last resort. I used it as a first resort, and I think I'm going to be using the medications as the last resort, or maybe an intermediate one.
Mm-hmm. You know, listen, you know,
because just like TC, in my eyes, it's a cost-benefit analysis. Just like with the COVID vaccine, you have to, you know, are the potential side effects worth the end result, which is immunity in that case?
Well, the end result is, sadly, in this case, is not immunity. But yeah, I mean,
I was going to say, yeah,
partial immunity, or at least we know that there's a good chance, there's a better chance of not dying if you're vaccinated, according to the current information out there. The problem is we're not really getting all the information, so it's hard to make that cost-benefit analysis with a, you know, we don't really have a full grasp of what we're doing. We're kind of guessing at this point. When it comes to this, though, we have a better grasp. We know that, you know, when I wrote the book, I was convinced that this was a way to go if you wanted to avoid possible adverse side effects, or if you wanted to go the natural route. Within the first couple of years of my radio broadcast, people who were taking these nutritional supplements and these herbs were saying they're having side effects, but they're also saying plenty of people said they were having good results. So they both work to some degree. We know that, at least for lowering DHT, but we know for sure that finasteride works when it comes to treating hair loss. Okay. We know that 100%. With saw palmetto, we don't know 100%, but we know it lowers DHT, so theoretically it should work in a similar manner.
I hear that. All right.
So is there anything else, Matt?
Yeah, going back to the FUTs, I know with each procedure you lose elasticity from the scalp. Is that elasticity needed? Is that just a minor footnote?
The short answer is no, it's not needed per se. But
did you see Joe's forehead about 5 years ago? It's finally just starting to relax.
Yeah, like, no, in the short run it's fine. But if you're going to get more surgeries, if it's not been planned properly, then the lack of laxity or the reduction in laxity can be an issue. Now, one of the things that people don't talk about is, two things, is how it can actually act as almost like a very minor facelift for a lot of people if it's done a certain way, because
that can actually be an advantage to some.
Maybe it depends on how many you've had done, and it depends on how much tissue is removed in each procedure, and also it depends on how your skin reacts overall. Because some people, if you have a lot of laxity in the donor region, it won't make any difference whatsoever. But if it's fairly tight, and you have a few surgeries, and each subsequent surgery is more difficult to close, then that can lead to a slight facelift type of result. But the other issue that people don't talk about, that doctors don't talk about, is if you're losing too much laxity, you can actually cause a form of shock loss in the donor region, because when you have laxity that's reduced to the point where the closure of that wound is difficult for the doctor, where it's a very tight closure, the wound takes longer to heal, but that pressure acts in a way to kind of push blood flow away from the wound, as opposed to allowing it to congregate around the wound to help it heal, which is what the body normally does anyways. Like anytime you have a wound, it gets red, because you have an influx of blood flow into that region, and it's so that it heals faster. It's bringing all the nutrients. But if there's a lot of pressure from a tight closure, that can delay the process. And when you have a diversion of blood flow from that region, it can cause temporary and sometimes even permanent shock loss if it's tight enough. And it's usually along what's called the mastoid processes, which is like if your head was the shape of a box or a square, it would be the back two corners. It's traditionally tighter there, and that's the number one area where doctors have a problem, because they don't anticipate the change in laxity. It's always tighter there on just about everyone, but for some reason doctors don't compensate properly. But the short answer is it doesn't matter, but the long answer is it does in certain situations.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Now, where else are you going to get this kind of information, dude? This guy is
I can't find anywhere else.
He's a fucking legend.
In my own mind.
Yeah. So anyway, man, listen, you have an interesting story. I mean, you decided to take the opposite route.
Oh yeah, you want another interesting factoid? To give you an idea of how well transplants work, or at least how well mine did the initial time, the first time. My immediate family doesn't know about my hair loss.
You're kidding me.
My mother, my father, nobody knows about it. Now, and when I see them around the holidays or birthdays and things, I rock the comb over, and it basically conceals everything.
Now, when you were a kid in high school, you said you were losing at 15. You don't think your parents noticed it and just didn't say anything?
It wasn't noticed because I wore it over my forehead.
What's your name again?
Dan Cooper, Daytona Beach.
Dan Cooper, Daytona Beach. Thanks, man. I will tell you this, Dan Cooper. If that is the case, then that's wild to me. But it's possible that your parents are just like, oh shit, Danny's getting bald, man. We can't say anything. And all of a sudden you come back with all this hair, and they're like, huh, he fixed it somehow.
That may have been a strong possibility, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I have one. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
No, that's good. That's interesting.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, I had one more question before I left you guys.
Yeah.
Now you can look this up. I don't know the numbers or the documentations of it, but you can Google it and find it. The federal government legalized cloning for scientific purposes. Now, is it far-fetched to believe that maybe one of these days they can clone the hair follicles and basically have an unlimited source?
It depends on what you mean by one of these days.
In the not too distant future, 5 to 10 years.
Well, they have cloned hair.
Yeah. Yes.
But they can't do it in mass quantities. How's that?
Can you say?
Yeah, they have.
But they haven't been able to reproduce it and do it to the point where they can actually grow hair on a person's head or do it in mass quantities. Yeah. Now, there's a couple of companies that are working on some cell-based therapies now. One is Stemson Therapeutics. They're going to be with us at the Global Hair Loss Summit this year. And they just got a really significant round of funding. I think they're working now with Johnson & Johnson and Allergan. Allergan, not Johnson & Johnson. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Keeps just got some funding from Johnson & Johnson. I could be wrong about that too. But, that's really the first time that a private company that's working on a cell-based treatment for hair loss has ever gotten this kind of funding. So that's pretty exciting stuff.
Cool.
All right, man.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you, guys. I'm going to factor all the information you gave me into my decision making. You folks have a great day. Thank you very much.
And thanks for spending the $16.95 on the Bald Truth. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Take care. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling.
All right.
I'll tell you how old that book is. I think it started off in its first edition at like $9.95. And it was a mass market paperback. Usually what happens is you either get a hardcover or a trade paperback when you're first printing. This was a hair loss book. They figured, you know what, we're going to do 100,000 copies kind of like as a mass market small paperback that you see in like supermarkets and stuff and see how it does. Mm-hmm. Did well, luckily. And the next edition it went up from mass market to trade paperback. That doesn't happen in publishing. I was really stoked. I thought, this is it, yo. I am done working. This is over. Didn't end up that way. 888-659-3727. But what did I know as a kid? Hey, you're on the air?
in the chat room. Oh, sorry.
You're on the air. Who's this? And where are you calling from? Let Joe say what he was going to say. Hold on for a second, caller.
I was just going to say, FSK in the chat room says, Joe, you should release a book too. What on earth would I talk about that I haven't already thrown out into the public 15 times? It's like,
Look, I've been asked to do
everything I've done is already out there.
I've been asked to do, update the book, and sure, we do an audiobook. People will buy it and make money from it, but the truth is, the information's out there. We can give it away for free now. Back in the day when it helped me a lot to get published, and it was a major feather in my cap, and it got me started in this career. And the book was printed in 5 languages, sold across the globe. That was great. But now I'd be like, I guess I could write a book about hair loss, but they can get the information for free. I'd rather write about something else and maybe start something new. Call, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's happening, man? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jay from Wisconsin.
Jay from Wisconsin, what's happening?
So I just pretty much just had some questions to ask. So I'm on medication right now.
What kind of medication?
Avodart, and I take it every other day.
How old are you?
Milligrams.
Tell us your story. How old are you and how long have you been dealing with hair loss?
22 right now, and I started noticing it at 20.
Your call's coming in and out a little bit. Can you speak into your microphone a little bit?
Can you hear me better now?
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so 22 now. I started noticing it at 20, and the first thing I did within a month of noticing it, I used finasteride and minoxidil. And I ran it for a year straight, rarely missed a dose for either medications. and I just didn't notice. I don't know if a year was enough, but I kind of maybe I kind of like panicked a little bit, but I jumped over to like dutasteride, and it's been a year, and I've kind of like been upping my dose throughout the month or throughout the year. So I take it every other day now, and that's not something my doctor told me to take it every day. But you know, I like brand name, and I know you guys think it's always better to use brand name, so I went for Avidart, but just because it's like so expensive, I use it every other day. So it kind of just like saves me money, I guess.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe I would say the least, like at the least, it's probably like slowed down my hair loss.
Okay.
I would say it's at least slowed it down, if not stopped.
All right. Well, that means it's working for you at the dose that you're taking.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that like, so I could pretty much like for the most part, like if I just like use like a hair thickening conditioner and you know a little bit of like concealer here and there, I could pretty much cover it up. You know, like my little like I got it in the back mostly.
Yeah.
It's just like a thinned out. It's not really like a bald spot. It's more just like a thin spot.
Sure.
You know.
I hear you, man.
And I cover it up. Yeah, I could cover it up pretty well. But you know, I'm trying to get, you know, more hair gain so that I don't have to like worry about like, you know, I'm young and my buddies they like to wrestle. Okay, it's kind of annoying sometimes, but they like to wrestle, and I don't like to because it just messes up my hair and then it makes it look like shit.
Yeah,
you know.
I hear you.
And I got to put my hat on. You know.
Every time I see Joe, he wants to grapple. I don't get it, but.
Joe, come on.
It's only after a few beers and you know it gets hot and steamy out and
yeah. He asked me to put on my wife beater. It's weird. Whatever.
I'm a weird Joe.
Shower cap.
Well, here's the thing. It's unlikely. I'm sorry to dismiss what you said. It's probably funny, but it's unlikely that you're going to grow back a lot of hair. It's possible that you're going to grow back some. But if you were able to, just for your regular life, without the wrestling, without the bro wrestling, if you were able to live your life with the amount of hair that you have now, and if you had this amount of hair in 10 years, would you be happy?
I would learn to deal with it. I think if I'm like in my 30s and I have what I have right now, I would definitely be able to deal with it. You know, I don't mind putting on, you know, any concealer. I don't mind conditioning with like hair thickening, you know, conditioner. I don't, you know, I made it a part of my day. You know, it's the same as like brushing my teeth. You know, I'll put on, you know, minoxidil once a day. At night, you know, and then I'll just cover it. You know, I'll use makeup.
Well, and that's the thing. You know, there's no, in general, for most guys, there's really no perfect solution. For me, when I initially started, I wanted every hair back, and I was like, "Fuck!" And then I accepted the fact that, wow, okay, I've been treating my hair loss for 3 years or 4 years, and I have a little bit more hair than when I started, and I still am able to dummy it up to make it look relatively okay. And as each year went by, and as you know, I mean, I remember I was just thinking about this the other day. I'm going to be 57 in like 6 months or something like that, 7 months. But I was thinking, when I was 27, I remember, and the reason I was thinking about this was it was the Jewish holidays. And I remember being 27 years old, going to the synagogue with my father and my brother, thinking, thank God I still have hair. And I had already been losing it for 6 years. And now, fast forward 30 years, and while it's worse than it was when I was 27, it's good enough. It's good enough. I paint my bald spot. I spray my hair. It's a whole fucking thing. If the wind blows, I'm finished. But, you know, it's manageable. And that's it. I feel very grateful. So I do think that in a few years, if you think about it that way, that, you know, you really don't know what you had until you lost it. And you obviously haven't lost that much where you're able to disguise it pretty easily.
What Spencer didn't share is that before the pandemic started, he was still living in a hermetically sealed facility to make sure there's no wind. So just so you understand the context here.
Well, that's true. I mean, we do have. It's kind of like it's almost like an atrium that I built. So I could feel like I'm outside. I could feel like I'm outside, but I'm really not. So, yeah, but I don't think. Listen, it's possible if at some point you up your dosage. If you talk to your doctor, if you feel like you're losing ground, you might get some regrowth. I doubt it. It's possible if you add something to your regime, you might get some regrowth, or you could also lose what you have. So, in my view, and I'm not a physician, if you are holding on and you think you've basically stopped things, you are in a great position, better than most.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think I've come to like kind of accept it, that I have to deal with it, I think I'll get better, but I mean, let's just say, like, if it does slowly get worse, very slowly, would you guys recommend women?
Oh, you're breaking up, dude. I can hardly hear you. Say that again.
I said, let's just say if it were to like slowly like get worse over time, over the years, and I'm at a spot, and I'm like at a position where I don't like where I'm at.
That's what the booze is for you.
Yeah, I've had my fair share. Luckily, yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm an asshole. Go ahead.
No, I've had that phase. But would you guys even recommend a hair transplant if I got to a position that I?
We recommend everything else before a hair transplant. In other words, shave your head first. See how you like it. If you like it, move on. You win.
We're a partial system in the back. See if you could deal with that. That's all stuff that you can
embrace derm match.
You can come back from. Now, we're not saying that a hair transplant's out of the question. It's always going to be available to you if you're a good candidate, but it should be the last line of attack.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I know there's like horror stories of it out there, like just it going completely wrong, But one thing that you were just talking about to the last caller was like shock loss, permanent shock loss. Like that's pretty fucking shit. Like how the hell does that happen? Like does that happen with FUE? Because I know you said it happens with FUE.
Happens with any transplant. Why do you think I never got a hair transplant? Even though everyone says, "Oh, you got good donor, you've been stable for so many years," which is not really true. It's slowly progressed. You can fix this. You don't have to wear makeup, stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm not willing to risk the hair that I've saved. But the good news is that if I decide to get a hair transplant at 60, I'm going to have a lot of hair that could be moved, and my risk, goes way down. Especially if I've lost more hair. So the less hair you have on the top, the less risk you're taking of having shock loss. Mm-hmm. So the happiest hair transplant patients are usually people who have significant loss where they regain the framing of their face and, maybe the mid-anterior scalp, and they're ecstatic because they had no fucking hair before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like if I were to do it right now, like I probably just, I have too much. It's because it's more of like a thin spot, so I kind of like comb it over. But because it's like more of like a thin spot, I feel like maybe I'm more susceptible to like, having that shock loss, that permanent crap. I don't know.
There's a greater chance.
You are.
I don't know. Yeah.
There is a greater chance, depending on the surgeon, because some surgeons have made their name for being able to go in between the hairs of patients that have not quite as much thinning as the next guy, and not cause any issues. But sometimes it's not the surgeon's fault, so it's still a crapshoot when it comes to having surgery, whether you're going to get shock loss or not. If you go to a reputable surgeon that's known for being able to go in between the hairs safely, then the chances are greatly reduced. But in your case, like you're saying, it's just thin, and you can deal with it right now. It's not a big deal. It's harder for people like you to actually see the benefits because it's not a night and day difference, and it takes longer for you to see the improvements too. Because as the hair is growing in, you don't see any difference. If you're a bald, then you'd see a difference early on. But you need to wait till, or you have to wait until the hair gets to some sort of length that it blends in with the rest of your hair before you even begin to notice it. And that can be 8 months, 9 months, who knows. And even then, once you get to the final result at a year to 14 months, you might even question yourself, was it worth it? Because it probably won't be a full result. It may be better, but you may think it's a waste of time.
Look, I know several guys, and there's some good doctors out there who will create, will work on young patients, will create, if they have hairline recession, will create an aggressive hairline, or even some patients, they'll do crown work early on. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not good. If you get crown work early on and you start to, the hair in the crown starts to break away from the hair transplant, you literally look like you have a fucking target on your head. If you're feeling you just get a moat of scalp around the transplanted hair. And that is pretty common. I see it all the time. Mm-hmm. All the time. It's more common than you would think. Now, a lot of doctors will preach, yeah, we do crown last, but they'll always have some sort of, or some will always have some sort of unique case. Well, this person was on medication and he seemed to be stable and, we felt it was safe to have crown work done. It's not. I'm sorry. I've never, ever seen a successful crown hair transplant early on. And usually it's, if you want to put a smattering of hair back there after you've, created the hairline, the mid-interior scalp, that's fine. But there's just a lot of young guys going in there just as they say in the UK to cover their bald patch.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't make sense. So you just seem like you could use a little Dermatch or Topic or whatever you use, finesse your hair with some thickening agents, shampoos and conditioners, a little hairspray or however you hold it tight like I do, and you're good to go. You win, man. And if you're not progressing, shit. You're the winner. So here's the thing. We're not guaranteed the future. Today could be your last day. This could be your last fucking phone call. Why worry about where you're going to go? If you feel like you've stopped your hair loss, just focus on that. Be prepared for like the worst, obviously. That's why you can listen to the show and you can get your information. Just like if I get COVID, man, I'm fucking prepared. You think I'm just going to drive to some emergency room? No fucking way, yo.
He's already got his stockpile.
Yeah. But so it's good to be prepared, but worrying about it or thinking about it is just, it's a waste of life. And trust me, it's taken me many, many years to figure out a way to try not to worry about what could potentially happen. Yeah. I'm still not always successful with that. And again, that's what the booze is for. All right, caller. Anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I did, I went last year actually to a clinic just to get kind of pictures and just ideas of how everything works at a clinic.
Mm-hmm.
There was actually one that you guys are, he's named under you guys. He's got a Russian last name. I forgot his name though. He's in Chicago downtown.
Panin.
Yeah. I went to him and he took pictures and then it was nice. He rejected me from having a hair transplant. Where when I went to Bosley, they were they told me, they were straight up, they were like, you don't need a hair transplant. This is when I first started noticing it.
Yeah.
They were like, you don't need one, but we'll still do it for you if you want it.
Yeah, if you really want it. Well, I don't think that Vladimir Panin really gets his due in this industry. I don't know why, but he is a gem. And, a guy that he really does spectacular work. And you don't hear a lot of people talking about him. I don't know why. So I'm glad that you went to see him and you kind of got an idea of what goes on in clinic and that he rejected you.
Yeah, it was relieving, honestly, that I didn't need to. But, yeah, well, I appreciate everything, guys. Thank you. I won't take up any more of your time.
All right, you got it, man. Congratulations. You're winning.
Yeah, thanks for all the information you guys put out there. And I hope you guys don't retire anytime soon because I got questions.
Well, Joe's getting old, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. We'll take this call in a second. I'm curious. I don't watch a lot of YouTube, are we like one of the only live podcasts or broadcasts where we take calls? Not just for hair,
take
but
calls?
Yeah.
There's a.
I'm not talking about setup calls or guests or setup calls.
I know. I know of one that used to. I still listen to it, but they don't take calls anymore.
You know why?
Yeah,
it's hard. That's a hard fucking thing. You got to come on. You have no screener. You're basically just wide open. Hey, who's this? Boom. And you got to know how to handle that. A lot of people are throwing.
And
off
the problem
by
is, like the luck of the draw. It could be your doctor giving you prostate exam results. You never know.
That's true, especially since you guys are calling my home line. Let's see what this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, caller.
Oh, hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, don't worry. I'm not giving prostate results here.
Well, you know what? I could use some, but go ahead.
I need them.
Who's this?
No, this is Rob from LA.
Hey, Rob. What's happening?
Hey, Rob.
Not much. This is kind of piggybacking off a little bit of the last call, I think, here. Is you guys were talking about, trying everything before having a hair transplant. I'm not near anywhere needing a hair transplant right now, but I've spent the last 4 years on some combination of trying to make finasteride, dutasteride, minoxidil work. It's still in a steady. My hair's still in a steady decline. No matter what I've tried, both generic, not generic, different dosages, all of it. So I guess one of my questions for you guys is around some of these other alternatives like PRP or exosomes or something like that, and what kind of results have you seen? Are those just really on the margins in terms of effectiveness, or is that actually something that should still be considered?
I think the exosomes are kind of being put on hold because they are no longer allowed to be sold. I think if people have access to them, they could still be administered in some cases or in some states. But there has been an issue with the exosome. Not that there are any issues in the hair world, luckily. But the FDA decided to crack down on it because there was a lot of companies and physicians that were making a lot of, let's say, claims based on anecdotal results, whether it was anti-aging, whether it was something being used to fight certain diseases, cancers, all kinds of shit. So there's a lot of shenanigans going on. So right now, exosomes is pretty much off the table. There may be one or two doctors you can find that still have access to them, and I know that they're working on some topical exosome treatments, but PRP is still on the table. And the thing about PRP is not all PRP is created equal. I would say that most of the doctors who are part of the IHRS that I'm aware of, that I've actually spoken to, that I've seen their protocol, they've told me what they're using in their kits, they are all providing legitimate PRP. Most people in the industry, sadly, are not. So
but the problem with that is that there's no standardization as far as PRP goes, and there's a wide gamut of protocols that are out there with varying degrees of success. One clinic may have one protocol and they're getting good results, and another clinic can have a protocol that's vastly different and still get good results. So there's no standard, but there's also there is a wild degree of efficacy, but I don't think it has to do with. I don't think there's a correlation with the wide degree of variation on the protocols themselves.
Yeah, they're learning. So there's a learning curve, and the doctors who are performing it the most, who are really, been in the trenches with PRP for several years, they've kind of honed it in their own practice. So they're like, okay, more patients are coming in with better results if we prepare the PRP in this fashion, or if we use this particular kit. So by this time, the one thing you need to do if you decide that PRP is just to make sure that the clinic and the physician has been doing it, in my view, for at least 5 years. At least 5 years at this point. Would you agree, Joe?
Yeah, I think it's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you want to also be able to have access to patients who have had good results and patients who are in your particular, kind of in your circumstances. Age group, stuff like that. But it's not cheap, and it is an ongoing process. So, and also you have to understand that you may do well with the first PRP treatment and then find that the second PRP treatment didn't do much for you. Or you go through a telogen effluvium, which can last several months until you start to see the results come back. And then by that time, you would need another PRP treatment. There are some physicians who recommend it, doing it quarterly. So that would be 3 times a year. I'm sorry, quarterly 3 times a year. That would be 4 times a year. Some people would recommend every 4 months, would be like 3 times a year. Some people recommend twice a year. And rarely there are those who recommend consecutive visits once a year. And those are the companies that are usually selling you packages. So I just gave you a lot of information that doesn't tell you whether or not PRP is going to work for you. But if you decide to go that route, this is the information you need to know. That's not just, hey, I'm going to find a doctor near me to do PRP or a med spa to give me PRP, because it may be shit.
Okay. No, that sounds good. Cool. No, that makes sense.
Exosomes, there was a lot of talk about exosomes. I've known people in my personal life who've had success with them, but, the success varies. And we still don't know if the success was based on the exosomes or just the PRP aspect of the procedure.
Right.
So at this point, well, I don't think it's going to cause any harm. It's difficult to get now, but I also
When
don't.
did they shut it down?
Go ahead. Say it again.
When did they shut it down?
Several months ago. It's funny. I was talking to one doctor here in LA, and they didn't seem like they didn't seem familiar with that fact. So I'm not sure if they are still providing PRP or not. I mean, exosomes or not. But yeah, one major company that I know is no longer providing them, and they're providing kind of like a topical formulation for physicians to provide their patients with. So they're still in the game, but we'll see. In a year, everything could change again. I know there's a couple of companies that are actually trying to get FDA approval for their particular exosomes and protocols. So they're moving forward with it.
Any other advice on options for non-responders to the medications, the standard medications?
Well, what are you taking right now? And we're not doctors, but what are you taking right now?
Yeah. So, I've tried dutasteride, finasteride, and minoxidil, and none of it seems to... I still take it, both finasteride and minoxidil, but it's been a pretty steady descent for
How
the
old are
last
you?
few years. 31.
Okay. And did you play with the dosages, or were you just sticking to the standard dose?
Yeah, I did all that.
For how long? How many years? 5 years?
Yeah, about 3 years, 4 years.
Okay. So tell me the exact process. How long were you on, say, did you start with finasteride?
So I started off on finasteride, did generic for a while, the 1 milligram, then changed to the brand.
Sorry, let me interrupt. Before you continue, can you, instead of saying for a while, give us some time frames? Like, was it 6 months? Was it 3 months? Because that's really important.
6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. 6 months. Still, my shedding really never stopped. Then I went to brand name for about a year. That didn't do me much help. Same thing, there was no real noticeable difference at all. Then I went to dutasteride for a while, and I think that was about probably 8 months, same thing. Then I went back to finasteride because it was cheaper. And then I did oral minoxidil as well, which actually seemed to have an effect immediately, but then over time it kind of just went back to the same steady loss.
Okay. And how much loss do you have?
It's so you would look at me and you'd be like, this kid, I'm not fucking listening to this kid right now because, you know, his hair looks fine. But it's like, the density, though, is definitely significantly less. And, like, it's, like, diffuse throughout. Like, so it's not necessarily, you know, like, I can see it a little bit in the hairline. I can see it a little bit in other spots. But, like, throughout, the density is significantly less. And, like, there are certain, like, thin spots now. But, like, it's kind of, it's a bit more randomized than your standard pattern would be, or like the standard patterns that you see. So like that's been kind of unique to my situation as well, I guess.
How
so
about
I guess
your donor
maybe, I
area?
don't know. That seems to be affected too a little bit, to be honest. Yeah, that it definitely, like I can, like, you know, like I can run my hand with the back of my donor area and like pull out plenty of hairs.
Okay.
Like just like
So
coming through my
I
hand.
think maybe you should talk to your dermatologist about getting some blood work done to check for some deficiencies. Like maybe check your thyroid levels, make sure that they're in good shape, because it might not be a DHT related issue. If you're thinning all over it, including your donor region.
Yeah, it's definitely like I would say my donor region sheds as much as the rest of it does, to be honest.
Does or does not?
It does.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it could be a simple vitamin deficiency or some sort of deficiency that you might be able to address with, I mean, I'm not saying it is, but it could be as simple as a vitamin, a supplement on a daily basis.
What types of deficiencies typically cause hair loss? Do you know?
Iron. Yeah, like I said, thyroid imbalance.
Vitamin D,
like that.
for sure.
Yeah, vitamin D. Yeah.
What's your diet like? What's your lifestyle like?
Work is my life. I live like a college student, even though I'm so busy all the time. I don't think about diet or anything like that.
Well, I mean, you should definitely consider it. And here's the thing, you know, there's a lot of, listen, I normally would say that, listen, if you think you're losing your hair, the chances of it being male pattern hair loss or androgenetic alopecia are pretty high, even with diffuse hair loss, even with, you know, hair loss in the donor. But if you're noticing the exact same amount of hair loss or in the donor as you are in the top, and you're just having an overall thinning, and you've been thinning for so long, but you still have a good amount of hair where people would look at you and think that, you know, you're crazy to be concerned about it, Joe may be right. He may be onto something. There could be some interesting or, you know, weird deficiencies.
I mean, it could be a combination of the two, couldn't it, as well?
100%. It could be genetics, and it could be your diet to some degree. You know, here's the thing about hair loss. Sadly, it's such a hit or miss situation where, like I said, most doctors will say, okay, this is it. Or if they're really confused, they'll take a scalp biopsy and maybe be able to tell what's going on with that. But if you're dealing with some sort of nutritional deficiency, it's going to be difficult for anyone to really tell right away. I mean, most tests will come back normal. It's rare that you're going to come back deficient except for vitamin D, which most people do. But that's definitely something you should consider upping. I mean, do you get a lot of sunshine?
Actually, low vitamin D runs in my family. Like all my siblings and family take vitamins. Yeah.
You know, we're living in a COVID world now. You got to up your vitamin D, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Consider talking to your doctor. Consider, you know, starting taking, you know, just over the counter. And again, we're not doctors, but, you know, D3 supplements. Work your way up to a decent amount. And you should check your vitamin D levels. Make sure at least those are within normal ranges. And normal, most doctors will say normal, it's probably lower than you want to be. But, you know, look that up online and consider that, because it sounds like you may have more than common androgenetic alopecia.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, man. And again, I'm not making a medical
appreciate
diagnosis. I got to say that for all the haters out there.
I got you.
All right, dude.
No worries.
All right, good luck.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Let us know what happens.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
thanks for calling.
Yep. Bye.
You know, I wish I could just say, hey, you know, this is what you need to do and you can be fixed. I've never been able to say that. Can't say it. We don't know what's going on, really. Every person is different.
Except for trichotillomania. Yeah. That's the one thing.
If you're pulling your
Stop
hair
pulling
out,
the damn hair out.
and you can't stop and you're losing your hair, we know why.
We have a pretty solid idea.
And that's that's a really difficult fucking situation. That is an OCD serious compulsion that people go, they have to end up wearing hair. They go throughout their lives with like pulling out their eyebrows, their eyelashes.
Yep.
And people are just like, stop pulling it. They can't. Their brain.
They don't even know they are.
Sometimes they do know they are, but because they need to satisfy, like it's like scratching an itch. But yeah, some people don't know they are.
Yeah, they're just doing it like this and don't realize it.
And for someone who doesn't suffer with that type of obsessive compulsive issue, they're like, just stop, and you won't lose your hair. You won't be bald. It's not that easy. We are wired in such fucking bizarre, different ways, and it amazes me sometimes when you think about it. Like I always give somebody the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, this person's fucked up differently than I am.
It's just a different style of fucked up.
It's a different way of being fucked up. Anyway, guys, phone number is 888-659-3727. We have lines open if you want to give us a call. If you don't, we will call it a day. That's 888-659-3727. Sure, how's the new studio?
Unchanged from last week. Literally unchanged, because I've been so busy trying to source some other parts of the or other pieces needed for the more visible areas of the home, because according to the wife, the living room is much more important, and I get it.
I see. Well,
I get it. I can still do my work here.
At the very least,
That's
take
one thing.
Images. Get your phone out and take some pictures of how your board is set up and how the software is set up. Because right now it's good.
I've already done that. Like the board is fine. Right before we went on air, it's simply being able to hear myself in my earbuds.
Yeah.
That's the issue. That's where I get the echo for some reason. So I just turn that function off and we're good.
Okay. No, I mean,
So
the setup was a lot faster today. So it worked out.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to give out the phone number one last time. That's 888-659-3727. Our lines are open now. They were filled before, but they're open now. So if you want to call in while we're doing the live show, call us. We'll answer your questions. You just want to shoot the shit. That's what we're here for. If you're considering surgery and if you have surgery scheduled for next week, call us. Let us know. We may save your fucking ass.
Mm-hmm.
We've done it a lot. Got a guy who called us. He was at the airport from Turkey. Go ahead.
Walrus, someone Walrus in the chat room was saying earlier that we saved him from surgery. That he was hell bent on it, and he decided not to because of us. Another one saved.
Another guy saved. All right, guys. All right, motherfuckers. Listen, we're gonna call it a night. If you don't get a call back, I got shit to do. So I'll give you
we both got shit to do. So
60 seconds. 888-659-3727. We would like you to provide us with some content so we can put that content out on Instagram. By the way, follow me on Instagram, guys, at Spencer Kobren, the way that it's spelt, the way that it sounds, Spencer with a C, Kobren, Kobren. And is at the real Joe Tillman? What is it, Joe?
On Instagram, it's Joe Tillman Official. That's it.
Joe, do you use hair dye? Do you think it's bad for hair?
I do not use hair dye. I've been accused of that, but it didn't make sense because I got like a little bit of salt and pepper thing going on, mixed in with the brown. And it can be bad for hair it depends on what kind it is. If it's a bleach base, then yeah. If it's left in too long and it's done too often. But other types, I don't think so. I don't know enough about them, but I have dyed my hair in the past and it looked really good. Like my stylist was pretty good with it, but I only did that because it's like what you do when you're bald as hell, like I was, and a repair patient, and you get enough hair to where you can do it. Then you do it because
You
it's
can finally
just fun.
do something with it.
You can finally do something with it.
Yeah, and I just my lights are good,
years
so
ago.
they make my hair darker on camera, but I basically have gray hair and I look like hell. Let's see who this is.
The Silver Fox.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Steve from Texas, Dallas, Texas.
Hey, Steve. Welcome, man.
Hey, Steve.
Well, I had no idea I was just going to be dropped into the show like this. It's pretty crazy.
Well, we had no calls, so you lucked out.
All right, perfect. Okay, well, I mean, I have a pretty straightforward situation. I have a Norwood 2 right now, and I got surgery planned with Dr. Yaker in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
I mean, I don't necessarily want you guys to talk me out of it, but, I mean, I already know that Joe recommends them. I mean, I don't even think anyone can talk me out of it anymore. But
well, we both, Dr. Yaker is an accepted member of the IHRS. Joe works with him directly as well, and he's good at what he does.
Yeah.
Is your computer on or your phone? I mean, I hear myself in the background.
Well, I'm actually out in my yard right now, and there are a bunch of crickets. Wait 1 second.
No, it wasn't the crickets. I heard my voice, but that's cool.
Oh, what about now? Is this better?
No, you sound fine.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Okay, well, I mean, I just saw you guys go live, and, I figured I'd just call in and say, I just made the jump. And
how old are you now?
Like I said, I'm 31.
You're 31, and you're Norwood 2? Are you sure you're Norwood 2?
Well, that's what Dr. Yaker calls it. I already had a consultation with him, and we have it all planned out. I don't have any balding on the top, and I don't think I will because my dad doesn't have it. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be about 1,500 grafts. I don't expect a Reagan hairline or anything. So, I mean, in terms of, my expectations, I'm realistic with that too.
Are you on medication currently?
Yes, I have been for 3 years now.
Okay. I figured you had to be, otherwise I don't think he would work on you.
No, that was one of the first things Dr. Yaker asked me. And I have to say, finasteride has worked perfectly for me. I mean, it stabilized my hair loss. I mean, I took pictures along the way.
Good.
No side effects.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, good. And listen, if Dr. Yaker thinks that you make a good candidate, I am a guy who always says, I don't like guys to get surgery unless, ever, if they could avoid it. But you got to be a Norwood 3 or above, in my estimation, unless you are a unique case. Because if you're Norwood 2, really, if you're a real Norwood 2, you wouldn't really have much visible hair loss.
Right.
So it's possible that you're a little bit worse than that.
Yeah, I mean, the temples are definitely going up, but, I mean, there's no real sign of diffuse thinning, maybe a little bit. So
is this a hairline lowering procedure? Like, is he dropping your temples and your central hairline a little bit?
Pretty much, yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it hairline lowering. He's just going to fill in the temples, and I guess that would make the hairline look a bit more straight.
It would make it look,
the V-shape situation. Yeah. Okay.
Well, any final words before you go in? When are you getting it done?
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe once, in a 9 to 12 months from now, I can send you guys some before and after pictures of something. Because I'm sure you guys will still be doing the show, right?
Absolutely. I hope so. Unless I'm dead.
You're not going to retire yet, are you, Spencer?
Listen, unless I drop dead or I'm sick or something, I'll still do the show.
You're not going to retire on us just yet, right?
No, not yet. Not yet. But
I keep trying to get him to, but
No, all I'm saying, I like Dr. Yaker a lot. He's a good dude. He's good at what he does. Just always, I have to put this out there for every young guy. Surgery is a last resort. I know I can't talk you out of it, but just keep that in mind.
I got you. All right, you guys take care, all right?
All right, dude. Good luck.
All right.
Let us know how it goes.
Tell him
And you know
hey.
what? And feel free to contact us
Thank you.
before then, just to let us know how the procedure went.
Will do, absolutely.
All right, man.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Can't talk people out of it.
Can't talk them out of it.
Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. If we don't get a call in 30 seconds, I am going. We had lines full for a second, but whoever was holding hung up. And that's it. In the meantime, I'll give out the websites. Hairtransplantmentor.com is Joe Tillman's personal website for everything Joe Tillman. Check out hairtransplantmentor.com. The American Hair Loss Association is americanhairloss.org. If you are interested in potentially having surgery, just if you want to find a safe place to get information on surgeons to start to do your research, go to the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. That's IAHRS.org. Of course, thebaldtruth.com. We will be having an archive up very soon, by the way. Just edited some. So we're going to start doing that. And also on a consistent basis. And also we're going to start consistently posting podcasts. I know. People are like, why don't you fucking do that? I had reasons for years, but now we're doing it consistently. Made some put some good content, good best of stuff together, so you can check it out on iTunes, on Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, we'll take this call and then we'll call it a night. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey,
man.
This is Jimmy from California.
Jimmy from California. What's happening, man?
Hey, how you doing, Joe, Spencer? So I called in a couple of weeks back, like a month ago. You guys reviewed my 1-year hair transplant surgery. I don't know if you guys remember from that.
I don't know, Jimmy. I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
So what happened?
Are you the one that I said you look like a TV actor?
No. I was the guy from California who said that his hair transplant, parts of it looked like a lace front hair weave.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You went to you went to see the doctor in San Francisco.
From the Bay Area.
From the Bay Area. Yeah. I remember you now.
Hey, So actually I wanted to call in maybe next week and discuss that further, because I guess like a week after, another one of your listeners called in and commented on it, but I don't know if you guys have time for that.
Go ahead.
But I just wanted to, because what I wanted to do was give you pictures from the full year, and I just don't have them prepared.
Well, that's okay. So what's going on? How are you doing right now?
Oh, so yeah, I'm definitely going to go get it repaired because it looks really, really bad. It's just I'm probably going to go outside of the U.S., but there's COVID considerations right now, so have to work my way through that. And I'm pretty sure I have a doctor picked out, and I'm pretty sure know where I'm going to go. But I know that the COVID season is going to spike in the next couple of months or so, and I want to see where everything lands before I make a decision.
Everything's COVID season now, man.
Yeah. So, I'm going to definitely do it. I'd actually like to take advantage of the fact that I'm working from home right now and use that to my advantage, right? So I don't have to walk into the office looking like I just had, another hair transplant surgery.
Yeah.
So it's going to be done soon. So that actually works out well for me.
Now, have you spoken to the doctor who originally performed the surgery? Have you spoken to him lately, or?
I haven't spoken to him since about 3 months after the original surgery, and quite frankly, I just don't trust the guy. So I don't think he's going to do anything. And I've heard other patients who were promised something from him in terms of repair, and his office is so disorganized that when they went to go speak with the operations personnel at his office, they said, well, you're going to get charged this month. So it's pretty disheartening.
Really?
I just don't want Yeah.
Fuck motherfuckers, man. All these guys. All these fucking guys. It's just unbelievable to me. Like, things didn't work out for this patient. You take an oath. First, do no harm. You did some harm. Fix it.
Right.
Somehow make it right. God.
Right.
How has it been since the surgery?
So I had my surgery July 27th of 2020. So About
Okay,
14
so
months.
have they been reaching out to do follow up with you? Because you said you haven't seen them since the 3-month mark.
Hell no. As a matter of fact, at 3 months when I had a meeting with him and I asked him to make sure that his office sets up, regular checkups with me, his exact words are, "We don't set up appointments with patients. They simply reach out to us when they need us." Those were his exact words. So basically, now that I have your money, you're on your own, so.
Sadly, there's a lot of physicians like that, and it's not just that they're not part of the IHRS. I mean, it's just, God almighty. I tell you, dude, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry that this happened to you. I think if I remember that we said that you're probably repairable, but it's so easy for these doctors just to reach out, to put you on a schedule, to say, listen, this is an unhappy patient. We want to do whatever we can to at least hold his hand, let him know that we care, follow up, because you know why? Because I'm a doctor, and that's what I'm supposed to do. Sorry, dude. So,
not this doctor, though, because if you are somewhat familiar with his practices, he squeezes in 2 patients, and I think he gets done in surgery before lunchtime. And then I think the rest of his afternoon is filled with consultations and stuff like that. So, the guy that called in the week after I called into you guys and expressed, that I went kind of overboard with how I explained my experience on the day of the surgery there. When that day I went into surgery, I got there right during call time, which was 7:30.
Hold on for 1 second. Hold on. Can you hear him well, Joe?
I can't hear you guys well.
Really?
Yeah.
It's okay.
So I think there may be an issue with my phone because you're coming in very loud in our software, but so you can't hear me well, huh?
It's a little muted.
That's weird. Okay. I don't know why.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So my call time for surgery was 7:30. Get to the office. I wait till about 8 p.m. before someone even comes into the lobby to pick me up. And then when they picked me up in the lobby, they gave me paperwork to fill out. And I waited another 15 minutes, and the doctor came in and said we had to take care of final business, where he went over some other disclaimers that I had to sign. One of the things I had to sign was I had to agree to arbitration, as he could not guarantee results. Right.
That is. I have to say that's pretty typical with all doctors now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's even required now, I think, in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when he walked me back, interestingly enough, he had another patient there ahead of me, and they left the door open, and the patient was facing me right when I was passing the door. I didn't see any blood on him, but I could see that they were working on the back of his head, right?
He didn't give you the high sign, the finger under the neck, get out of here.
Throat being slit.
The movie Get Out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Get out.
He didn't do anything like that.
Yeah.
But, so the doctor walked me into the room, sat me down, and I didn't see him for another hour, right? And, no one said anything. I sat on this office chair.
Really?
Not office chair, but surgical chair. And it was really uncomfortable for an hour. A nurse came in and she grabbed a microscope, looked me dead in the eye, didn't even say hi to me, and then walked out, right? And then finally another nurse came in and she parked herself on the other side of the room. And 45 minutes in, I'm really uncomfortable in the surgical chair. And she says, "Oh, well, let me take care of this." And she finally, lowers it down and stuff like that. I think right after an hour, the doctor finally comes in, and he walks in. I could see him discarding a paper towel, which he probably used to dry off his hands after he washed off all the blood from being in surgery with the other patient for the last hour. He says, "Are you ready to go?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's ready." After an hour,
So you're sitting there in the surgical chair for an hour in an empty room, basically, except people coming in and out.
Yep.
And you weren't provided with, you didn't go in there and they didn't say, "Okay, well, here's your sedative. We're going to come back in. We're going to start to anesthetize you." This is all before that happened.
No. So during the final office paperwork, he gave me a pill concoction.
So what, he
like
roofie you?
once you walk into the room. What's that?
He tried to roofie you? I'm just kidding.
I suppose so. But right after that, like literally, I got 2 shots in both arms, or in either arm, within the second of like 10 seconds. I mean, like the guy was just moving as fast as possible. Before I know it, I was out, you know. And then I woke up sometime as he was extracting the follicular units out of my donor because of all the pain. I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I didn't wake up again until it was lunchtime. And that was also after lunch. When I woke up at lunchtime, I didn't see my doctor again until the end of the surgery. You know, and I woke up several times throughout the procedure. It was a 12-hour procedure, right? It ended up running 14 because we were delayed. But yeah, his actual involvement, probably with during the actual when he had a surgical instrument in his hand, was like probably 2-3 hours at most out of a 12-hour surgery. And, you know, you could tell because my results aren't very natural, right? Everything looks straight, pluggy, and looks pretty bad. So that's
No,
why
who knows? Maybe if he was working on it, it would be worse.
What's that?
Maybe if he was doing the work, it would be worse.
Maybe, right?
You know.
In either case,
How do you feel about the growth?
came out of it.
The growth levels. Do you feel like there was a good success with growth?
No, the growth was fine. It's just unnatural. It's like really straight. I mean, the yield is fine, right? The yield was really high, but
one of those cases where you wish it wasn't so high.
What's that?
Well, it's one of those cases where you wish it wasn't so high.
Actually, I don't have too much concern with the yield and the ultimate density that resulted. It's just, God, it looks so pluggy, and the hairline is straight as heck. So it has to get fixed, you know, because...
Well, been there, done that. I certainly understand and empathize with you, because I've been there myself. So, which country are you? Like, do you have something set up already? You said you're going out of country, or you're planning on going out of country?
Yeah, it's not confirmed yet because I'm gonna make sure I go through and select the right surgeon this time. So, I have it narrowed down. I'm still working on my passport too because it expired during the pandemic, and it's in the process of getting renewed. So it's probably like a few more months out before I actually do this. But
and where are you considering to go? Which clinics have made your final list?
So I'm going to consider this. It's hard to say his name because it's Thai. Because I'm Asian, right? And you mentioned, you know, there's some difficulty with Asian hair follicles, the bulb exploding. You mentioned that the last time we talked, and you wanted me to make sure that I worked with a surgeon that's worked with Asian hair before, and I agree with that, right? So looking at one surgeon in Thailand and a couple surgeons in Korea, South Korea. So I'll work out those details until I figure it out. But first things first, before I can book anything, I have to make sure that I have my passport renewed and it's ready to go. But yeah, I feel that even after this second surgery, it's still going to be my first surgery because the second surgery is going to be a repair of the first surgery. So unfortunately, it's just too straight and way too pluggy. It's just, and even though the right side is not very dense, had it not been for the unnaturalness, I wouldn't even touch it. You know, there's enough hair there to make it look like I look good, but it's just the naturalness. So that, you know.
Well, listen, man. You know, you've been through a lot, and just hearing your story it makes me fucking sick. It could have been a lot worse. Let's trust me. I mean, it shouldn't have been that bad in the Bay Area. This particular doctor has a big online presence. He's been around for a long time. None of this should have happened, in my view. And just the follow-up and the treatment itself, the fact that you waited there for an hour before, you know, he even started the surgery in this
ridiculous.
In the surgical chair, and that is just, it's fucking criminal, in my view. Fucking criminal.
I don't know what happened that day, to tell you the truth. I don't know patient before me came late, or if the doctor was running late, right? But I know my call time was 7:30, and I was there at 7:30 sharp. And yeah, we didn't get started until right around 10. And it was a 12-hour surgery, which would have made it so that I would have went home around 7:38.
Yeah.
I didn't wake up from all of it and finally see the doctor at the end of it until like 5-10 minutes before 10. So
yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, man. I'm sorry that you went through that. You know, I'm sure. I hear that, Joe. I am sure.
It's bad.
Yeah, I am sure that. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that your next experience is going to be a lot better. And you know what? I think that whoever you're working with, whatever doctor you decide, you should tell them about your experience. Kind of warn the guy. Like, you don't want to deal with this shit again.
Yeah.
All right, man. Good luck. All right, keep us posted.
No, I was gonna update you on the other thing, because last time I called in, I had a question about when they change your generic subscription of finasteride from one brand to another brand.
Yeah,
that happened to me, and hair fell out, right? So I decided to ask my Kaiser doctor to write me a prescription for Propecia, so that I can get the brand consistent for the rest of the time that I'm taking the medication, right? So, Propecia is significantly more expensive than finasteride.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask you guys what the average cost for brand name Propecia is these days.
I don't even know at this point, because I take Proscar, but it's we could look it up online, but I mean, it's going to be a lot more expensive. That's that's the reality of it. But you know, I mean, I always tell people that if they found a generic that they were doing well on, to stick with that generic. Can you find out the name of the generic that you're on?
I was on Dr. Reddy.
Okay, is there a way to get Dr. Reddy anymore? I haven't checked.
I'm going to try and see if like Walmart or Costco has it, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I have to dig around for it.
I mean, if you dig around for it, I'm sure you'll be going to be able to, most likely, as long as they're still manufacturing it, be able to get it. Let's see, Dr. Reddy, finasteride. It's funny, HIMS comes up.
Yeah. Well, anyways, when I looked them online, they said that the price for Propecia is around $77. I'm getting charged $129, and that's fine, you know, because I spend money more stupidly on other things. I was just wondering if, like, the price has went up significantly, because $129 is
$129 seems what it would be at this point.
Really?
I mean, I remember it was probably around $60-70 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Listen, good luck.
Right.
We got one more phone call, and we got a call tonight. So,
thanks, guys.
Let us know how you do. All right, and good luck. Keep us updated.
All right.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This fucking makes me sick. Yeah.
It's disgusting. It really is.
It's fucking industry.
Feel bad for him.
Take a call, and then we're going to call it night. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
I don't believe it. It's Morty from Brooklyn. I made it in.
Fucking Morty. How are you, man?
Morty.
I'm good, guys. Man, it's so good to hear your voices.
What's happening?
Man, well, a lot. Yeah, no kidding, man. It's been tough, man. Basically your time slot and a standing date with my mom on Friday nights have unfortunately become conflicting, and it's basically made making a call difficult. Usually I would call in earlier, but because of that, if I manage to get out of there early enough, I'll try to catch the tail end of the show, which is what I managed to do, and here I am.
Very good, man. Yeah,
So
Joe wanted to change the
on.
time. I couldn't change his mind, so that's why we start late.
Well, I consider myself lucky and to be able to get on the show and to chat you guys up. I'm calling basically because I wanted to catch you guys up with what's been going on.
Yeah.
About 3 weeks ago, it's probably about 3 weeks ago now.
Now I have a question, Morty. Are you able to hear us clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I was just curious because the last caller said he was having problems. But go ahead.
Oh, no, I can hear you guys just fine. So, yeah, about 3 weeks ago now, I think it is. Yeah, it's probably about 3 weeks ago. I had a adipose stem cell transfer from my gut to my head. And I guess for the benefit of the listeners, I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about what the procedure was like.
So did you actually have liposuction? How much liposuction did you have?
It was small. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 test tubes worth.
All right, and how? And
my beer gut's still there.
So how's the contour of your body? Was it done evenly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. All right.
Yeah, this is my second one of these. I had one done previously. This one was a little different. When they did the extraction the first time around, was November of last year. 2 incisions were made near the hips, near the hip bones, thereabouts, probably about halfway between that and the belly button. They left actually some small punctate scars, I guess, one slightly larger than the other one. This time they did 2 incisions inside the belly button going in opposite directions. So like coming in from the left, getting at the fat on the right side, coming in from the right, getting the fat on the left side. And that, in my opinion, was the smarter way to do it. So if anybody goes for this, that would be my suggestion. Also, I want to drop some names if that's okay.
Sure.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. So, the Dr. Cole presided. He had with him.
Last week we had a guy dropping Richard Branson. So.
Yeah, I heard that. That was freaking brilliant. That was brilliant. I hope something comes of it, man. Hey, I mean, Branson. Why not? I mean, him or Mr. Tesla or Mr. Amazon. Either one of those guys.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome to get them involved. Hell yeah. So as I was about to mention, Dr. John Cole presided, Dr. Ryan Welter, and I believe the name was Dr. Peter. Gosh, now I can't remember his last name, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but I want to say it's Peter Wong. I think Peter Ang or something. God Almighty. Yeah, gentleman from Korea, and the 3 of them.
Peter Asian.
So that. Yeah, oh God. Am I a terrible American? Am I? I guess I am.
No, you're not. You're the best.
So the 3 of them presided. The procedure, like I said, is they did a small lipper aspirate. It not as much as you'd notice. Took about the extraction probably took about 15, 20 minutes to get the stuff out of me. Then they did the numbing. They did a ring. A ring injection, so the top of my head was a helmet. And then they proceeded to they also took blood for PRP, and they took the fat, they decanted it, and then they spun it down, and then they decanted it again, and then they ran it through some microfilters in order to get out the adipose-derived stem cells. And then they combined that with the PRP. PRP, they use the EnSite system to do the PRP extraction. Remember, and then they just injected the whole mess into my scalp, and
hope for the best.
Yeah, that's exactly what it comes down to. It's.
John gave you a wishbone. You pulled on it, made your wish, broke that shit in half.
Damn, Spencer! I don't even want to think about the images that just went through my head just now. Don't get me wrong. I like John. He's a really nice guy, but he's not my type. Just FYI for those listening here. Okay?
Yeah, John's the best, man. John's the best. And what I like about John is he's willing to kind of go out there, sometimes on a limb, to try things that a lot of guys wouldn't try. And again, it's all about first do no harm. As long as it's not going to harm anybody and has the possibility of helping somebody, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I look at it. I mean, I took what you guys say to heart, which is surgery is a last resort. And so, if there's another resort
obvious.
out there,
obviously, you're definitely you're definitely following that credo. That's for sure. You're trying everything under the sun, and God bless you for it. The good thing is that after this and the treatment from last year, you look a little bit better in a bikini. So that's a great bonus there.
Exactly right. I just gotta get a little bit more done, and then I'll have a 6-pack.
You can take some of that fat and put it in your chest, man. They do that now. They put it into people's pectorals, and they somehow create larger.
That's all right. I'm on Propecia. I don't want to take any chances. You know.
Yeah.
Like enough fat may end up migrating there anyway.
I hear you.
But yeah, no, I just wanted to share that with the audience and to wish you, Spencer, a happy Rosh Hashanah. That 5782 should be the year where God in His infinite mercy finally allows us to keep our hair.
Oh man, thank you. You too, man. I appreciate it. And Yom Kippur is coming up.
No worries.
That's always that's always fun. Jesus, that's the most depressing holiday.
It's better than liposuction, man.
I just remember sitting in shul with my father on Yom Kippur. I was just like, when am I going to get out of here? This is so depressing.
Oh yeah, it's a whole process. That's for sure.
I love being a Jew, but I got to tell you, man, they just don't make it fun.
No, it's not the funnest religion in the world. There's a couple of holidays which are fun, but for the most part, it's a whole lot of eating and a lot of moping.
You have to go to a Black Baptist church, man. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, I have been.
Amen.
I went to one when I lived in Mississippi. They're a trip, man. They're awesome. They know how to celebrate the joy of prayer and all that good stuff.
That's wild.
Also, since in the spirit of the occasion, I want to reach out to Spencer and to Joe and to all of the listeners to please forgive me for any missteps or sins if I've insulted anyone or caused anyone any harm. I want to personally reach out to each and every one of the listeners and to both of you to ask for sincere forgiveness and hopefully, you guys will forgive me and I'll have a good year.
You are absolved, my man.
You're absolved.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Joe, you got to do one of these.
Cool.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah, I'm on the phone. I wish I could see.
I just crossed my chest. Like I used to see these ladies like when I was on the bus. When I was a bus as a kid, they would in New York. We'd roll by a church and they'd all cross their bodies.
Yeah.
I always felt left out. I didn't understand what they were doing.
Like, what is that?
I could tell you some stories, man.
They all have a tick.
Oh, I could tell you some stories. I remember once I went to my buddy my buddy's McGittrick, so you can tell he's Catholic, his wedding, and I went there with a friend of mine who was Russian, so he didn't know Judaism from Christianity because they don't got religion over there,
Yeah.
And suddenly everybody started lining up to go get a host. And he gets online, and I'm like, dude, where are you going, man?
He's going to get a cookie.
Yeah, he wants a cookie.
Exactly. I'm like, sit your ass down.
That's fucking awesome, man.
That's good.
All right, Morty, listen, anything else before we go?
Nah, man, just like I said, just once again, thanking you guys for everything that you do and for helping me to find my way through this whole process and keep me safe and keep the listeners safe. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Morty, you're the best. Have you been going out with John?
Fantastic student.
Have you been going out with John and the boys?
We went out. No, actually, this last time. So here's the thing. After the procedure, John wanted me to meet him for dinner, and I'm like, dude, I got freaking bruises, and I'm just coming off the anesthetic. I'm like, no, I'm gonna stay home.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's nice that he asked you, though.
Huh? No, it's cool. No, believe me.
Yeah, it's
and
nice
we've
that he
had
asked
lunch.
you.
John and I have had lunch. No. And like I said, the other nice thing about having these three doctors involved is that you could see the way that they interact with each other. And I got to tell you, it was really fun to watch them learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On you.
Walter was telling
Yeah, it was really nice to be experimented on by these three chaps.
I don't know if I'd call it experimenting. I guess maybe you could. I try not to.
It was fun being a guinea
pig. I was one of
pig.
the first guys to get vaccinated, so I don't mind being a guinea pig. I took the vaccines back in late 2020, so I trust the science as they say.
Yeah, and that's why I saw a picture of you walking around with those refrigerator magnets attached to your body.
There you go. exactly. I glow in the dark at night. It's great.
That's good.
Well, listen. Maybe who knows? Maybe you're going to get something from this, Morty. I mean, I think John is very excited about it, and I'd love to know if, in fact, I mean, you would be a difficult case as far as really bringing back a lot of hair. It would be interesting to see what happens.
Well, I mean, look, I can tell the listeners, and both of you guys have already seen whatever progress I've made, and I got to tell you, the medication works.
It's significant.
Yeah, and so I got back. I got back the borders of a forelock.
Yeah.
And I got back some thin growth in the mid scalp. I was able to save my crown and to save my my parietal humps. So at the end of the day, the way I see it is, I probably saved, if I had to guess, maybe 500 to 1,000 grafts that I would need if I do decide to go for surgery. So, this is what you guys want to do if you're out there. Before you start cutting it, getting yourself cut, you got to try all the different things and see how your body's going to react, because everybody reacts differently.
And the thing is, but you're a patient guy, Morty. There's a lot of, especially the younger guys, they're not as patient as you. You've been, dealing with hair loss, significant baldness for a long time. A lot of young guys are like, they're just getting into the process for a few years. They're really suffering. They really want it to end, so they're willing to jump into anything. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
So
there's no magic bullet out there. In some sense, having lost, you appreciate what you gain.
Yes.
If you just see loss, then you start focusing on what you had instead of focusing on what you're getting. And that's what you need to focus on. You got to say, look, this is where I am, and let's see where we're going. And let's make sure that where we're going isn't going to be a place we're going to regret.
Absolutely.
So even if even if it takes you an extra year or 2 or 3, as long as during that process you don't look like a freak, you're ahead of the game,
You know what? That's our philosophy, man. I'm glad you finally, not finally. At the beginning, you were trying everything you could to get surgery.
Yeah, well,
you were trying to figure it out.
It's the old, it's the what is it? The stages of grief or the stages of hair loss.
Yeah, denial.
There's denial. It's not falling out. then there's what is it? Bargaining, I think.
There's bargaining. Yeah. You tried it all, Morty.
And then there's acceptance,
Yeah.
And, acceptance for me took the form of let's just keep going and be patient and, find the good people. And when I say you try everything in the kitchen sink, that includes, you prostitute yourself to your doctor. So,
Well, you know what? It's great. It's great that you have. It's great that you have the opportunity to get in there and try these things. And as long as you don't feel like it's going to cause you any harm, then I say, why not?
Absolutely.
All right, Morty, we're going to go.
All right, cool.
No, go ahead. What was your last sentence? Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say, the thing of it is you have to remember, you want to make sure that your doctor sees you as a patient, number one, and you want to make sure that, that the doctor appreciates you. If he doesn't know who you are, if you're just another number, then that's not the doctor that you want. You want a doctor who's going to appreciate you as a patient, and you also want to make sure that it's the doctor's ass if he screws up. If it's a situation where, you're just another patient and you've got a large volume of patients that you're handling, a bad result for a doctor like that is just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that your doctor knows who you are and values you, because you're going to have a much better chance of getting ahead. And, you listen to him, you or her. You listen to them and you do your homework. You find the one you like. But once you've found that person, you have to put your trust in them. If you can't put your trust in them, then you haven't found the right doctor.
Morty, those are wise words from a very wise man.
That's very kind of you, Spencer.
Thank you for that. Listen, have a great weekend.
All right.
Have a good Yom Kippur. And, I don't even know how to pronounce it anymore, because when I was a kid, it was Yom Kippur. That's it. That's how we did it in New York. And now it's Yom Kippur. Yep. It's a whole thing.
You know what it is? Is it's
your life is rough.
Yeah.
It's performance. That's what that is. It's Yom Kippur, baby.
That's right. Right.
All right,
dude.
Guys, have
take
a good
it
night.
easy, man. All right. Thanks for the call. Bye-bye.
Take care, Morty.
I don't know if we're having problems with the phones. I'm having trouble. I don't know if you were able to hear Morty fine. No problem.
Yeah. It was a little fuzzier than normal, but
yeah, it's been fuzzy. I don't know what's going on. All right, so I gave out the websites. Oh, by the way, we have a new episode of the Bald Truth UK, which you can check out on ape2gentleman.com. It should be uploaded soon, so check that out. We had some really interesting caller this week, so check that out. That's me and Spencer Stevenson doing the UK show, Bald Truth UK, and ape2gentleman.com. And Joe's YouTube channel, he was bitching at you guys for not subscribing. I don't understand why you're not subscribing either. A lot of you looky-loos hanging out, want to hang out in the chat. That is no longer going to be an option. You're going to have to subscribe in order to hang out if you want.
Well said.
So check out the Hair Transplant channel on youtube.com/Hair Transplant Mentor. Subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified. And if you're watching the show right now, there's only 26 likes. Like the fucking show.
Pathetic.
What's the big deal? Joe's going to give up and he's going to quit. And that's going to be it. Because if he goes, I mean, I'm not going to do it. You know? Not going to be any fun for me. Yeah. I'm done. I don't give a shit. I mean, I like it. I do have fun. I love speaking to you guys, and it's kind of something that we can do that because we have no financial ties to anything, we could really tell the truth. And I like being able to do that. And even though I have doctors who I work with through the IHRS, I could still say surgery is a last resort. And if somebody fucks up, I can say, man, that was fucked up.
That was fucked up. That's fucked up, yo.
Yeah. I can't, so I guess I do enjoy doing the program. So please don't make Joe go home. Subscribe to her channel.
Through that door.
Yeah. Joe, guys, until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you all so much for listening. Have a good night.
Good night.
Oh, did you see that?
Inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid.